I don't get to do this by myself. I do this with three other beautiful co-hosts, Teddy Ewing, Keisha Ravenel, and Madam President. Today we're talking about OnlyFans. Now, if you're not familiar with OnlyFans, I'm going to let Miss Teddy tell you what OnlyFans is. But we're going to be talking about and looking at business models from the OnlyFans perspective, but a variety of different business models. I'm going to talk to you guys about 30 different types of business models. We're going to talk about building our own platforms. And so it's going to be a great conversation. Make sure that you give us thumbs up, that you share this conversation, that you tag it, that you tell your mom and them to come over, because we're talking business, we're talking Black life, and it's going to be really good. So let me go ahead and throw it to Teddy so she can talk to you, so she can bring us up to speed on the OnlyFans business model concept.
Hello, everyone. Let me apologize in advance if my video is skipping. I'm in Egypt, like I really can only do what I can do, but hopefully you can hear me clearly. So for those of you who don't know, OnlyFans is a subscription service on Instagram where people can pay for private content. And that content has been associated with explicit content, sometimes sexually explicit content. I'm sure I'm telling you what you already know. Well, at the end of August, Instagram threatened to ban any sexually explicit content on the OnlyFans platform because they're trying to get funding, they're trying to get investors, and the sponsors and advertisers had a problem with the mixed message that they're sending. So they said 1 October, they're banning all sexually explicit content. Then they kind of backpedaled a week later due to outrage from the fans and the OnlyFans producers. And they decided to say, no, never mind, we're going to keep things the way they are. So that led us ladies to the concept of, because I think it threatened a lot of people's livelihood. They had become used to the income, they had become used to the fame, the popularity, and all that came with it. So my question in my head was, did they have a backup plan? Or was OnlyFans their only plan, right? So that brings us to this question, like, ladies, what do you think? Like, if you're going to do something risque, and the OnlyFans sexually explicit content is very risque. They're basically, on the Forbes article I read, they said sex workers have platforms on the OnlyFans. So they're calling some of these women straight up, or men, straight up sex workers. And I think some of the content, not that I viewed it myself, is pretty explicit. Like, it's pornographic. That's like the direct way it's described. So if that is your stilo, if that's what you're doing, what is your backup plan? And it's important to have one if you're going to form a business model where you don't control who lets you on their platform or not. So I'll turn it over to the ladies. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to have a backup plan, whether you're on OnlyFans, Instagram, Facebook. Remember, these are not your platforms, right? So you have to find a way to get people to move from an Instagram follower to now maybe an email list, right? Or even better, a text message list. So now you have direct access to, their phone numbers where you're telling them about your business. So it is very, very important to have some type of backup plan. We spoke about this, before, ladies, multiple streams of income. So you cannot depend on just one stream of income and think that's going to cut it. That's the same thing as just depending on your 9 to 5 and thinking like, oh, well, I'm never going to get fired or I'm never going to get laid off. You never know what can happen. So you most certainly need to have a backup plan.
So, Madam President, before you go, I want to ask the audience, what social media platforms are you on? If you're a business owner, what social media platforms do you have your business on? Tell us in the comments. I want to know and see how many different platforms you're on. Are you only using Facebook? Are you using Facebook and Instagram? Are you a YouTuber? Do you have Twitter? Let us know in the comments which social media platforms you are currently on. Go ahead, Madam President.
Well, I just want to say that I totally understand the sentiment where the people are regarding the OnlyFans and what will I do if the system shuts down? What am I going to do with my life? So,
where are my coins coming from?
The broader question, what would America do if she no longer sells sex? Because when the issue came about with the OnlyFans, people were really in outrage, but the OnlyFans system is surviving off of what it produces, and it produces a lot of content that is explicit. So the OnlyFans couldn't afford to make such a drastic change because, of course, if they take away, if you're a meat shop and you stop selling meat and start selling vegan stuff, all of your people who come to buy meat is going to be like, well, what happened? So I think America is not prepared to stop OnlyFans. And the funny thing is, America is so just weird on how she rolls out this kind of stuff, because there was a time, of course, where where nudity used to be screened and you had to kind of conceal nudity. Not anymore. It's everywhere 24/7, to the point where Kim Kardashian is the queen of OnlyFans. Her entire legacy is built upon OnlyFans.
She was OnlyFans before OnlyFans was popular.
Right.
And it has led her, front row seat in Paris Fashion Week and cover of magazines in Tyler Perry's movies. So the thing is, the spectrum work for who it wants to work for. I think me personally, I always encourage women in general, I want to get paid for my mind, not my time, and definitely not my butt and other stuff, So it's not for me, but I think America can't afford to stop selling sex either.
Okay, so I agreed with you and still agree with you on everything until you say you don't want to get paid for your time, because I do want to get paid for my time. I want to get paid for my time. Okay, so I think the question is exactly what everyone has said, but is this model sustainable? And that's kind of what me and Teddy had talked about when we first talked about this conversation. Is the OnlyFans business model sustainable? When in your 20s to 35s, absolutely. While you're young and everything is, perky and where it's supposed to be, it is. But when you get to be 50, 60, 70, do you still want to have your OnlyFans page up, be making money? I hope not. I think not, right? So it does become a matter of, you do need to have more than one revenue stream. OnlyFans can't be your only plan, as somebody said. You would still need to have some type of a revenue generator, pictures, offline, calendar, email list. Like, there's other things that you need to have in place, because I think it was Keisha who said, we don't own none of these platforms. We don't own Facebook. We don't own Instagram, TikTok. We don't own any of these platforms. And so if one of these platforms were to go away and your business is tied to it, then your business goes away with it. So when we're talking about entrepreneurship or creating additional revenue streams, we need to be thinking about the long game, the end game. How is this going to play out? And I like what you said, Madam President. Sex does sell. It absolutely does sell. I've been watching Chloe Haley as of late. I love Chloe and Hallie. I watch Grownish, and I just love them and their dynamics. And I've been watching her brand become more sexualized as she's separating from her sister. And she just had her Have Mercy video come out. She just did the VMAs, and she started to blow up when she did that one challenge with the little scoop butt challenge. I can't think of the name of this little TikTok challenge, and people went bananas because it's off brand. But being off brand and turning more sexual, her brand has blown up. It's why you have is why you have more influencers on Instagram, because they're more sexual. The more outlandish and the more you put yourself out there from a sexual perspective, for whatever reason, your brand seems to grow. And so you have a lot of people that will, I don't want to say sell their soul, because that's not the right antidote that I want to use, but they will flirt with the line of their values, and they'll flirt with the lines of what they find to be right in order to get more influence, more sales, more recognition. And then that brings it back to the question, is that sustainable? Like, how long do you want to do that? Shouldn't we be able to be successful and influential and lead and grow and still keep our mental, spiritual mindset intact? So, and I say all that to say this. So Stacey said Chloe is very talented. She doesn't have to show her body like that. She absolutely does not. She has a beautiful voice. She has a beautiful face. She has a beautiful spirit. She seems very smart. She absolutely does not. when we do these things, we play into the fact that sex sells, right? It reinforces the fact that if you are overly sexual, you will be successful. Where I wish someone would say, you know what, I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to keep to my core, and I'm going to still be successful. You have your Erica Badu's, you have your Jill Scott's, you have your Olivia Scandal, Keisha. No, she's not Keisha. Washington. Thank you. I'm watching it. You have beautiful Black women that have shown that you can be successful and not have you can be successful and not be over sexualized. You can sustain and not be over sexualized. Anybody else want to add to that?
Well, Lene, you said a lot. You definitely said a lot, and I wanted to hit on several points of that. I wanted to welcome some to the room. I see Thunder's back, and we were talking. Thunder was bringing on the last conversation. And Renee said OnlyFans has turned young ladies into hoes. And I will say that you have to pick your poison, right? I think a lot of us do things we don't want to do, and we hoe ourselves for different things. So it may not be sexual. Maybe you're working a job that you hate and it makes you negative or it brings you down, and you're doing it every day because you think you have to. And I think a lot of that sexually explicit content, I think that I honestly believe, even with porn stars, there's very few people who want to be in that position to make money. They're just doing it because they can make money doing it, and they feel like that's their way out. Maybe they like the fame, maybe they like the power that they feel at the time. But I've seen documentaries on porn stars, and none of them are happy. They're smiling, but they're all on drugs. You know, they got a lot of emotional issues, psychological issues. So it looks good, but the afterlife isn't great. So Lene, as you said, it's like, what, to me, when I think about OnlyFans as an entrepreneur, I'd be like, man, if I did do it, I'd be like, I want to teach, just like Keisha, I want to teach other people how to start their OnlyFans channel. I'd rather make money mentoring you on how to start your own OnlyFans channel if I did it for a while, or if I knew how to get into that business, versus being the person out there exploiting myself. And remember, when you're exploiting yourself, someone is making money off of you. You might be banging out, but if you're making 50 grand a month or 40 grand a month, then someone else is making 100 or 150 grand off of you or more a month. So you're being exploited to allow this. And specifically in that Forbes article, they said how they were risking having to turn down billions in advertising to continue this platform. So if they haven't already, I'm sure you're going to see an increase in fees and an increase in cutting into the revenue so that they can make up that opportunity cost of keeping that pornographic content going so that they don't get some of the advertisers they want. Madam President, I think you're about to say something.
No, I'm in awe. I'm listening. I'm learning. You know, every time my sisters get to speaking, I'm just taking notes. But I was going back to what Lene was mentioning about Chloe Haley in reference to the women who pretty much, we have a very few women that's been able to make it mainstream. I'm talking mainstream sellout arenas and keep their jeans on and not show, more and appear very, very sexual. I believe it's in the culture. In fact, I just wanted to tell this quick story. I'm not a hipologist or anything like that. My music category is about as average as any other average person. I hear what comes out. I don't go seeking for it. But sometimes, I like knowledge. So when I hear and see something, Nicki Minaj started talking about how men dominate the music industry. Men dominate this industry, managers, choreographers, all types of people, producers. Men are behind so many women music careers. In fact, Nicki Minaj, come on now, Nicki Minaj, her name, they basically influenced her. Look, you got to change your name. You got to do this. They like, you have to mimic Little Kim. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have to say this on camera because my mother owed me a Little Kim's cassette tape. when I was in sixth grade, or 7th, I had Little Kim And my mother, she's a devout Christian, right? So she like, she comes back from the beauty shop and she said, I heard about Lil' Kim. I know you don't got no Lil' Kim tape in my house. And I was like, No Time was the biggest hit on, at that time. And it's like, look, but my point that I was trying to say is men created Little Kim. Little Kim did not walk around saying, yeah, I'm just going to show my butt and my tits. The fellas say, look, you gotta, if you want to do this, it's about money. We want to see this. We want to see that. And it amped them up to go ahead and go out there. And I'm not saying that women don't have their own mind. They probably made very strong adult choices. But I'm just saying that this whole thing is a group effort. It is not just a single thought with the artist. It's a group effort.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I actually have a confession, ladies. I saw Teddy. I'm not on OnlyFans. I'm not.
I was waiting for it. With my pearls.
I'm not on OnlyFans, but I was told that I should be on OnlyFans. So I went to this my friend, we all have that crazy friend, right? That's like willing to try anything once and willing to go anywhere once. So she brought me to this like dominatrix type workshop thing. And the lady, she was on OnlyFans and she had her, they call it a slave, I guess. I don't know. She had him, she was teaching us all of this stuff. And she mentioned like different fetishes. And my friend, she mentioned, she was like, Keisha, you have beautiful feet and men have foot fetishes or people have foot fetishes. You can go on OnlyFans and make money. And then they started talking about that in the workshop and they were like, yeah, girl, you should do it and go on OnlyFans. And I'm just like, should I go on OnlyFans? I just have to show my feet. But I say that to say that money does talk a lot of the time, right? And it's like, if you thinking like, oh, I can make a little bit of extra money, maybe I'll consider it. I didn't do it. I'm not on OnlyFans. I promise. I felt like I couldn't bring myself to do something like that. Like my values just would not allow me. But I just want to go back to what Madam President said about, because I do think it's like, oh, okay, like I can make money by showing my body. Oh, great. I'll do it. Or I can be liked by men by showing my body. Okay, I want that attention, right? So I feel like it's definitely like twofold. Like I can make money, I can get that attention from the men that I've been seeking for whatever reason, whether it's like I have daddy issues or like I seek attention for whatever reason. Women do things to maybe get that money or get that attention. So like just going back to like Little Kim, that's what that reminded me of.
So I'm going to reset the room and then I'm going to make a confession as well. This is the confession hour. This is the melanated confession hour.
We usher up in here.
Let me say, I am not on OnlyFans either, but I do have a confession as only appropriate to make while we're having this conversation. But first, let me reset the room. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Melanated Air Hour with myself, Lene Javette, Teddy Ewing, Keisha, and Madam President. If you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up, like the chat, share, let people know about us. I want to go back to Stacy. No, it wasn't Stacy. It is Stacy. It's funny how some men want to see women like that, but don't want to marry them. I thought that was a dope comment because men do want to see women sexualized, but they don't want their woman to be sexualized. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here is my confession. Now, I am not an OnlyFans. Let me make sure I lead with that so don't nobody go looking for me over there. However, I had an OnlyFans type of lifestyle before I became this lifestyle. So when I was 19, I was dancing. A lot of people went that way, but I definitely went that way. I would tell the story, but some of you guys have already heard it more than enough times, but became a dancer, right? So I'm doing dancing and I found myself with the opportunity to do some video. And this was years ago. This was when we called it the World Wide Web. And it was private. You know, back then nobody knew what the World Wide Web was, and things were supposed to be private. And so I did some video that ended up on the internet years later. And so the reason I'm telling you this is for to think about the mindset. Why would somebody do that? What are the choices and decisions that a person makes, or where are you at in your life that allows you to make those choices and decisions to do that? I say now to yourself, because I'm older, and now when I look back and I'm like, God, what was I thinking? My behavior therapist, me and my therapist, we've talked about it. Like, do you regret it? No. Are you mad about it? No. Are you ashamed? No. What bothers you? It bothers me that other people know that I did it, not what I did at the time, because I was 19, 20, 21, young. I had thin thighs, you know what I'm saying? Everything was nice and perky. It was a good time in my life. And for me at that time, it was more of a power thing. I felt like if you haven't seen breasts and boobs and body parts, that's on you, not on me. So I had a very overly masculine alpha type of a mentality back then that made it be okay. That now at 45, I'm like, God, I wish I would have made different choices and decisions. I wish I hadn't exposed myself so much. And that's because you don't know what you're going to do with your life. So if we go back to the original question, is the OnlyFans business model sustainable? It's not. Mentally, depending on what you want to do with yourself, spiritually, when you grow up, if you have regrets, if you've opened up too much of yourself, if you've exposed yourself too much, financially, if you want to do something with your life and now you have this thing hanging over your head that you may regret, or you feel like you can't go forward. For me, I have had a fear of success for many years, not a fear of failure, a fear of success, because there was a pocket of my life where I did something where somebody could come back and throw it in my face. They could literally void out all the good things that I've done based on a 2, maybe 3 year period of time in my life. And I literally had to go to therapy to get help in working through that, because I had to realize, well, if that hadn't happened to me, would I be where I am today? If that hadn't happened to me, would I be running from that to be where I am today? So a lot of times things happen to us and they make us better. But I don't think that when we're thinking about our business, or we're thinking about the models that we have for our business, or we're thinking about revenue streams or how we're going to make money, all money is not good money. Depending on what you want to do with your life, where you want your life to go, how you want to feel about yourself, how you want to feel about your life. And I don't think that part of the OnlyFans business model is talked about right now.
Definitely. And where it's going, like, because that's a competitive world. When you are exploiting yourself, however you're exploiting yourself, there's a lot of competition out there. I mean, I always say I'm glad I'm not dating, because I want to dealing with somebody else and their things and their issues. And when you're out there shaking that thing, I've had 2 kids. It don't shake the same. It ain't the same. So if you want to grow in your life, you can't keep up with some of these younger people. Yeah. And the body, what do you want to call it? I was going to say dysmorphia, but that's not what it is. But the people trying to get all of this body augmentation so that they are more appealing to other people, not for themselves, but for the outside. Mm-hmm. And once you've done all that and you get older and you're doing your thing and you're learning and you're growing, you will still have those scars. And some of those scars won't just be emotional or psychological, they'll be physical. Excuse me. And then what do you do about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Keisha was talking about earlier, off screen, we were talking about these platforms that are there, they don't belong to us, right? And so it's important that we start thinking about ways that we can build our own platforms. And she was talking about the Emmys, which is not a social media platform, but it's literally another type of a platform. It's another industry that does not belong to us. Keisha, what were you mentioning about the Emmys and what was happening with that this past week?
Yeah, so there was just some talk about the Emmys. I didn't see it, but I saw on Instagram and on social media that there was not one Black actor that won an Emmy, and people were upset about that. And for me, I don't like to see when we get upset about things like that, only because I feel like with the Emmys and the Grammys and the Golden Globes and all of these things, it's like we're seeking validation from these platforms, from the dominant society, and it's just why can't we just celebrate us and our greatness? Like, why do we need these sources to tell us, or these awards to tell us that we are great? You know, so yeah, like for me, it's just like, that's why you need your own, you know what I mean? Whether it's us Black people as a community and we create our own, you know, platform, our own Emmy, whatever we would call it, our own Grammy, whatever we would call it, and not the BET Awards, but that's another story. That's another story. But we need our own, you know, we need to celebrate us, we need to validate us, and not expect that external validation from another community.
Mm-hmm.
And I also hope that the people that were threatened, who are on the OnlyFans platform, the males and the females, I remember Lil Boosie was sweating when he was like, they gonna get rid of OnlyFans. So I assume he has an OnlyFans, and I do know he has one. And he shows a lot of sexually explicit content, not his own, other women's. They send him videos, and they probably pay him to show it on his stuff, right? So he's making money off of that platform. But I hope this scared people into that multiple streams of income, that figuring out what am I, like the pandemic, when it hit, if you didn't have a backup plan and you needed one, if you worked at a restaurant, owned a movie theater, you have to say, what is my backup plan? So that is what my hope is that comes from this, is you came up with some other options that you can do in tandem as your side hustles with this thing. So if it doesn't work out, they can't threaten you to the point you're going to lose your livelihood.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. So a lot of the comments are saying building our own platforms is imperative.
Mhm.
But you know, we could do the black OnlyFans. I don't know, somebody out there, you can have that, but that was free.
That was free.
I'm giving these away. Because that's the crazy thing. For everything that there is, what do they call it? Majority community, whatever you want to call it, there is a Black version of it, or at least there should be. I know there's a lot of conflict. Why does there always have to be a Black? Why can't it be Black? Because somebody got to speak for us and represent us. We are Black everything. So that our interests and culture can be considered, because everything that's mainstream is not created for us. It's not created with us in mind. Ideologies, we're not sitting at those tables. So if we don't create our own, then we will not be represented. Nobody is thinking about us. Nobody is checking for you. We have to check for ourselves. We have to check for each other. And so that's why there has to be a Black of everything. Talking and Grubbin Media says we do have our Grammys. It's the Soul Train Music Award. Our biggest artists back in the day would be there. Now today's Black music stars won't support it. Ooh, that's a good point. That's a good point. We do have to support the stuff that actually happens in our community, because to Keisha's point, we will bypass our own to sit at the table of the others. We want the Emmys, we want the Golden Globes, because we get validated and appreciation from mainstream, instead of, and I want to be careful how I say this, letting what comes from within our community be more than enough, right? Self-love, community love should have superior value than love from your oppressors.
Absolutely.
The people that are trying to hold you down and hold you back.
Yeah, because when you talk about like artists that have won Grammys or were nominated for Grammys, right? It's Grammy award winning ... or Grammy nominated ... It's not Soul Train nominated or Soul Train winner, you know, and that's a really good point. Like, we have to support our own. We have to put us on a pedestal, and we don't do that.
Yeah,
they do it for the NAACP though. You'll see NAACP Image Award winner. You'll see it for that, but you don't see it for the Soul Train Music Awards.
Mm-hmm.
But who runs the NAACP?
Right, and that's what I was gonna say. Like,
go ahead, Madam President.
No, I was just going to say that that's the thing. We magnify everything that they have. So our own children, which I don't have any, but I like saying this. You know,
so you got plenty of children.
Right. Our own children, in the words of our mamas and grandmothers, you know, constantly didn't see the value in what we had and what belonged to us. Mm-hmm. So they constantly went out, and I think we talked about this previously, Lene, is how just from the integration standpoint, every best of Blackness was always integrated into white societies. So not only is this whole setup dangerous, it's difficult when you are young and you are Black and you're trying to achieve, and that is your level of standard. Once that becomes your standard, you're literally going through a psychological war for the next 50 years of trying to obtain something that literally somebody has to invite you into.
Yes.
That's what me and my therapist talk about all the time too, because I think W.E.B. Du Bois, he said double consciousness. Black people are constantly in two worlds. You're in your Black world, and then you are in this white world. So the thing about money is, Black people, we have all this money, and just not from just Tulsa. When we begin to build our own, we begin to, like Teddy said, we built our own so many places, and then it would just be bombed, and then that was it. It'd be bombed, and then you'd be looking around like, well. And then when you become a doctor, everybody used to live in the same neighborhood when we were in segregation. So your doctor lived next to a teacher, next to a garbage man. And then integration came about. Well, you're a doctor now. You can sit over here and live with us good old white folk. And that's what they did. So now everybody, it's just a constant racist, classist society that people are constantly maneuvering. But it was up to us to constantly define our communities without outside input, which is something that we never have a chance to do. If we even look at Black leaders today, and I'm just going to throw some names out there from, they don't have to consider themselves leaders, but we're just going to see the discourse of, let's just say Dr. Umar Johnson has his people, Dr. Boyce Watkins has his people, Tariq Nasheed has his people. All these same Black woke folk going through the same caucasity in this Caucasian world, and it's just like there's this, we always have these differences, right? That separates us, but we're going through the exact identical oppression. The oppression is identical. So it's just like, my whole thought process behind it is, we need to constantly, I say, stick together and stop putting those things on a pedestal, even in your own family, and see how it turns out 50 years later for your own family.
I remember going to see Dr. Claude Anderson speak, and I'm sure he's mentioned this before, but he said, slavery wasn't the worst thing that happened to Black people, it was integration. And, that just, you speaking, Madam President, that reminded me of, just what he said, and even our conversations, behind the scenes, because we spoke about how we would spend, hundreds, thousands of dollars with, certain brands. But then when it comes to our brands, we're like, that's too expensive. Like, why are you charging that much for that? And I recently had a conversation with friends, and they were saying like, oh, this person is charging $60 for a hoodie, and they used to charge $40. It was a Black owned business. And I'm just like, okay, so, like you would pay this amount for Gucci and Louis. And, I know Lene mentioned that as well behind the scenes. So if you want to talk more about that, Lene, but it's true, like we are okay. And I don't mean us, right? Because I feel like not us in here, but as a community, it's like, yeah, we okay. Yeah, I get that Gucci belt for $700. Oh, but your t-shirt is $25. Why it's not $19.99? And it's just like, you can't spend the extra $6. Like, come on, So, like, I think that's an important conversation as well, because with segregation, it was we had to spend with us, right? With integration, it's like, oh, we get to spend with the white people now. We get to, go to the white stores and shop with them because it's marketed as better.
Yep, it's marketed better. I'm sorry, I won't cut anybody off. Anybody else want to go? Because this, I love talking about this. Not only is it as the owner of the Freedom Company, shameless plug, I would like to say that not only is it marketed as better, if I read this book when I was in college by Naeem Akbar, it said breaking the psychological chains of slavery. And one of the reasons that Black people in general have the tendency to think that anything that is given from a white standpoint is better is because during slavery, Black people had absolutely no way of purchasing their own clothes. The only way a Black person would get threads on a slave plantation is when their slave master gave it to them. So there were slaves who walked around the plantation who got a hat from massa, who thought that he was closer to massa because the hat that was given to him, or the woman who had to basically be raped so her child can have a coat for the winter would basically get a coat for the winter by being raped. And then people would go ahead and say, well, hey, we got this coat. And, as long as her child is warm. So I want to tell you, what do they do today when you go on the red carpet? Hey, what are you wearing? That's the first thing they ask. What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? Why does it matter? Why does it matter what am I wearing? I'm here. I'm here for my acting ability. I'm here for my ability to why do you care what clothes I'm wearing? So we can continue to set these systemic barriers and standards, because guess what? Teachers can't wear Gucci in reality. Even if they are buying it, they can't afford it unless they in a secret salary that I know nothing about. We all in the same world, right? We all know the cost of things. So sometimes I'm looking at folks like, I know what you do for a living. It just don't make sense, for that to be a thing. But all I'm saying is white supremacy constantly set these standards of what we think is of value, and we feed into it every day. The only way to not feed into it is to constantly, educate your mind and yourself.
That's it. You got to break them chains. You got to break those chains. As I said in the beginning, people hold themselves out every day. It may not be on OnlyFans showing your private bits and pieces, but it may be the job you work. It may be the outfit that you're wearing at that job that you couldn't afford, or the car that you're driving, and you're forsaking your own financial intelligence, your financial growth, so that you can be driving around in something that people look at and say, oh, that's a nice car. So you can feel this materialistic pump up from the outside instead of pumping yourself up from the inside out, right? So for OnlyFans, bringing it back again, as an OnlyFans person, are you doing this because you want to grow yourself? And if you're making, some of these people are making $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a month. And if you're doing that, do you have to sustain that? That's the perfect launching pad to get into something else. Business ownership, real estate, investments. I mean, thousands of things. But if you're doing something that's tearing you down on the inside, you're going to want to feed yourself with more material things so that you can sleep at night, or so you can sleep at night, and afford your therapist and afford all these other outside things that are going to help you feel better about yourself on the inside. So as Lene said a little while ago, it's not sustainable because we have to unlearn all of the poison and the negative things that we've learned as a society, as a community, so that we can relearn and grow within our own community and have that dollar bouncing around in our own community. So I support a Black OnlyFans platform, because then at least I know that dollar is bouncing around inside that platform and it ain't going out to the London-based people that own Instagram.
You heard it here first, folks. Somebody about to come with So I want to share this post. It's on my Instagram page. For those of you that are thinking, well, what are some revenue streams, right? We don't want to just talk about it. I want to make sure you leave with something. So one of the things that I talk about, I teach my clients, is around their business model. Do you understand what kind of business you have and what kind of a model it is? So on my Instagram page, there's 30. I'll probably just give you guys 15 of them. But one is hidden revenue, because since I can't go into them specifically with you for the sake of time, I'm just going to tell you the names of them. There's the 1-for-1 business model, the razor and blade business model. the cash conversion cycle, or what they call the cash machine business model. There's the multi-sided platform, the direct sales, the freemium, which most of you guys are familiar with the freemium business model, the affiliate marketing, there's subscription-based, agency-based, there's e-commerce marketplace, discount, attention merchant, there's franchising, there's on-demand subscription. Keisha can tell you more about that. There's the education niche. There's the instant news business model. There's the blockchain, the multi-brand, the family-owned integrated business model, the direct consumer business model, enterprise and distribution-based model. So there's all these various business models. OnlyFans is just one, and it fits into one of those. And you can have more than one, like, right? So as a business coach, as a podcaster, as somebody who sells merchandise, these are three completely different business models based on how you set your business up. So when we're talking about having 7 revenue streams, preferably you want them to be, this is my opinion, somebody else might say something different, but preferably you want them to be different business models. So if one falls apart or cracks or goes away, you still have other models that are set up. If you put all of your eggs into one business model and that business model goes away, or that platform goes away, or that audience goes away, then you're left with nothing. So make sure you're thinking about diversifying, right? Have your OnlyFans, your Black OnlyFans, have your coaching, teaching people how to get on OnlyFans, have a book that you sell on Amazon that teaches people how to get on OnlyFans. Like, you want to have multiple different facets of that business to make sure that you have multiple different revenue streams.
Also, Lene, I love that. And somebody said, can you drop that in the chat? I'm not sure if there's a way to copy and paste. But the one thing that I wanted to say is, as a person, I feel like a lot of times in society, we don't slow this stuff down, right? A lot of times we are so just straddling. We're like, oh, I don't know. It's them. It's okay. Shut it down. No, because what happens is, so I feel like this is a conversation that doesn't get a chance to get held often. But say, for instance, if I am if I'm a hot dog stand, right? Here I am, hot dog stand, and I have this corner that I'm at all the time and I'm selling. Well, I would be mad as hell if they decide they're going to put up a Whole Foods right here where I'm selling hot dogs. So, like, to the next person, oh, well, it's good for the community. It is not good for me, okay? And I think people have a hard time expressing their truth because they're so convinced with the majority all the time. The hard fact is, if your country is constantly promoting and your daughters are okay on OnlyFans, then what's your daughter gonna do who has the love for science and nobody is making the proper investment in that? What are you gonna do when you're gonna turn into an OnlyFans world and you and and your marketing? What you gonna do? But you sat quietly while everybody was, and you were okay with the arrangements 24/7. So I think that we have to commonly move away from straddling the fence and being in the middle on some of this stuff and just say, shut it down.
Shut it down.
Everybody ain't got the vision for that, right? A lot of people don't see anything wrong with it, but then there's a lot of people who do, because they think that that's just what's happening now. But some people, they don't see the long-term effects of it. They don't see the second and third and fourth order effects of it. And when you have a conversation with those people, you're talking to them. And then I usually just shut up, because you can't convince some people of anything, right? And it's not my job to convince you. But the people who do know, the people who do recognize, yes, we need to stand up and say, no, I'm not. And, none of us ladies, although we have past, we have things we've done in the past, we haven't used the OnlyFans model because we got goals. We're entrepreneurs, and we know that's not going to benefit us in the long run, no matter how much money you can make in the short run.
I would tell you that when I was dancing, and I use this example all the time, when I was dancing, Miami was a really nice place, but that's not the point. There would be girls back there with their law books, with their medical books. Yeah. There was girls in the corner that were snorting, but there was a wide range of women that were back there. So you don't know how your doctor put themselves through medical school. You don't know how your lawyer put themselves through law school, because the club I worked at, there was women from all walks of life, women who were married with kids, their husband had just got laid off, and this is all they could do. Like, there's a wide variety and range of why someone would do what they do. And like Teddy said, when you're doing it and you're in that moment, you don't think about the repercussions and how it's going to affect you 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. And it was very different from then to what it is now. Now it's very popularized and it's very desensitized. Like it's everybody does it. Anybody can do it. It's not a big thing. Back then it wasn't. It was very, I don't want anybody to know. But even when the time passes, that experience is still left with you. It's still left on your spirit. It's still left on your soul. And even when it's gone, it's with you. Somebody's about to say something. I'm sorry. Were you about to say something, Madam President?
No. I'm sorry. I was listening.
Okay. So we're coming up on our hour mark. And we just want to thank, first of all, let me just say thank you for tuning in. For every single person that has tuned in, who has tuned in every week, who has watched the videos, who has shared the videos, who has liked the videos, who has engaged in the comments. Shout out to Thunder and Lucy Quinton and Hey Vincent, I see you. Share Slays. I cannot put the examples in the chat, but if you go to my Instagram page, I posted it on January 7th. So on January 7th is the list of the different business models. And I will probably I have a video where I go through the business models on my YouTube page. Shout out to Naeem Kepri Hum. Shout out to Feather 9999999. And Superman kicking ass. Everyone, thank you so much for being here with us on a weekly basis. Now, I will politely ask you, please go and follow Teddy at The Real Teddy Talks. Follow Keisha at We Inspire Brands. Follow Madam President at One Madam President. Follow me at I Am Lene Javette. You can engage with us, of course, through this platform, but also one-on-one online. See what we do, what we offer, what we're talking about when we're not here with you guys on Melanated Air. And before we go, I'm going to circle the room and let everybody get their last comments in before we get out of here for the day. Teddy, what are your final thoughts with regards to our conversation today?
So yes, thank you everyone for being here. I see my girl, Tag Girl or T Girl 32 in the room. Thank you for supporting. I just want, for the effort you put into something that may break you down and destroy you, I want you to put that same effort into building yourself up, and building yourself up with education, empowering yourself, and moving forward in a way that you don't have to look back on any regret. You will accomplish more. I assure you, if you have the energy to be doing how many ever videos you got to do for OnlyFans, you can start yourself a legit YouTube channel or Instagram page or whatever, and build the business model, subscription based. Get people to subscribe and pay for the content you're providing in a way that may not have you reflecting on it in a negative fashion later on. So put the energy towards something positive. Now, if you really, truly, down deep in your soul, enjoy and love what you're doing, then you do that thing and you own it. And by owning it, I mean you don't own Instagram, you don't own OnlyFans. So have yourself an email list and a website and a text message list so that if it goes down, you have a backup plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead, Keisha.
Oh, yes. So I would just say, try not to seek external validation from people that don't care about you, from communities that don't care about you. And I know, like, it's a thing, right, where it should just be self-validation, but in reality, we are human. So we do seek validation from external sources, and that's okay. But it's not okay when you're doing it from the standpoint, like, these people don't care about me, they don't care about my well-being. Because when you join that OnlyFans, when you do things that are not in line with your values, like my lovely co-host said earlier, down the road, it's going to come back to haunt you. You're going to need that therapy. You're going to need things to put you back intact emotionally, spiritually. So definitely seek, of course, the internal validation, but the external validation from people that genuinely care about you. And don't forget about the multiple streams of income. That is extremely important.
Yes. Madam President.
Absolutely. Well, first, it's always a pleasure to see you guys. I love seeing you every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I just want to say that the best way to secure the bag is, is not having to, I don't think, show your toes and tits, like that's just, real difficult. That's the way that you got to secure the bag. That just seems difficult. But I will say that I do know that, navigating through this country is not easy. We all come from different walks and different lives, different backgrounds. And how do we learn to survive this world? It's not always easy. So we understand where a lot of people come from, but where you come from and where you're going, that's your world. That's your path. So I want to say there's a lot of strippers in the world, but there's only maybe one Cardi B. There's only one person that's been able to kind of achieve like this Cinderella miraculous kind of money behind it. Also, too, long term, you can't do it for 50. People don't go and see 60-year-old strippers. So you got to keep that in mind too, from that perspective, or that OnlyFans standpoint is like Lene and my sister say, secure the bag with all types of using these resources. And I think using your mind is the best way to get the bag. I'm Madam President with a Z, guys. Follow me on Instagram on all aspects of social media. Check out the Freedom Company at _freedom_company. I've had a good time.
Yeah. So what I'll leave with, I want to talk to the people who have not had a perfect life. I want to talk to people who have made a mistake, who maybe you went to jail, maybe you danced, maybe you did drugs, who, your past is not pristine, and yet you have hopes and you have dreams and you have aspirations and you have desires. The world is literally open to you. You can create whatever you want. You can start your own business. You can start your OnlyFans page if you want to. You can you can go back to school. You can get married. You can find love. You can create. There is literally nothing that is off the table to you once you get out of your own way mentally. Okay. Do not discount yourself. Do not tell yourself that it's not possible. Do not tell yourself that too much time has passed, that you're too old, that people will find out, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like literally, life is so short and you do not have a lot of time. The conversation I've been having a lot lately is time is money, but not the way that we've been taught that time is money, right? My time is valuable. You have to pay me for it. No. Time is literal currency. I can redo and get back everything but my time. And I'm running out of time every single day. I end the day with tasks and things to do because I don't have enough of it. Spend your time wisely. Do things that you enjoy. Follow your heart. Follow your dreams. Reconnect with people. Reestablish friendships and relationships. Start that thing. End that thing if it's something that's not good for you. Whatever you do, just make sure you're back here on Thursday at 2:00 for the Melanated Air show for the rest of this week. We will continue to show up to not only talk to you about what's happening in the Black life, in Black business, but continue to inspire you and motivate you and hopefully offer solutions. So we don't want to just be talking heads about these things that are happening, but we also want to make sure that you walk away with something. There's, understanding about business models, understanding about different ways to create revenue streams for you. You don't have to be a quote unquote full-time entrepreneur. You can go to work and have a 9 to 5 and start a side business that brings in another 30,000, another 50,000, maybe just 100,000, just something to increase your livelihood and your quality of life. It doesn't have to be balls to the wall. I'm quitting my job and I got it. It doesn't have to be that. We're talking about increase. We're talking about helping. We're talking about elevating, right? And so we'll be doing that every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2:00 Eastern. You can always watch the replays on Fly Nubian Queen, one of Dr. Boyce's channels, I Love Being a Black Woman, Melanated Air Hour. We do have our own YouTube page now. And please make sure, like I said before, follow all of the ladies and support us. We do this together as a unit to support you, to be here for you. And please feel free to give the love back. With that being said, see you guys on Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.